Dr. Light, I'm sure you're familiar with the Natalie Cole situation, and you've got a famous person who goes on national television and happens to mention that she needs a kidney, and she has this outpouring of people who say, "Gosh, I'll give you my kidney. I'll be happy to give you my kidney." It's wonderful that people are doing this, but how does it? Some people might strike them as being slightly unfair to those who are already on a transplant list. Where is that? How does that fit in? Is that true?
Well, it fits in different ways, but first we ought to say what an inherent goodness it is in our American people. And even in the worst of economic times, people could be charitable and think of somebody else's welfare. Having said that, it's inherently unfair to all those who are waiting, since not everybody is famous or has access. But on the other hand, the big point here is that if all those people who said they would donate to Natalie, they all can't. So those who don't get selected, if you will, if they could donate to somebody else who's waiting, that would do a tremendous amount of good. So my word to Ms. Cole is to say, please ask all of the people who can't donate to you to donate to someone else.
What types of rules are there in place, and what's the situation if someone, for example, comes in and needs a kidney, but they don't have someone who would be able to donate? Are there different things that can happen for that individual in order to be able to get one?
Surely. And there's a National Transplant Network, which we helped establish 25 years ago to have a rank order of recipients, and so there would be fairness about deceased donors primarily. It turns out that we have the same system in place for non-designated living donors, and it worked for us actually just a week or so ago, where a person wanted to just give their kidney to the most deserving patient, so the one who was the highest ranking waiting patient then was able to get the kidney. That kind of work is coordinated in Washington by our transplant community, Washington Regional Transplant Community, but virtually all large transplant hospitals have those kinds of programs.
What about, I've seen some situations of something that's called a chain donation. What is that?
Well, that's a concept that was put in place by a group called the Alliance for Paired Donation. And essentially what it is a consortium of incompatible pairs where they're willing donors but they don't match with their intended recipient. And so if someone comes along who doesn't have a designated recipient and is able to donate, well then that recipient's donor designated there then donates to somebody else, and then somebody else and somebody else. And this is the subject of a recent report in the New England Journal, and it was also on network television. So it's a very good thing. We're going to join it. We think it makes an awful lot of sense. So, for example, if any one of Natalie's donors who could donate but didn't donate to her would donate to this kind of situation, then there's a very high likelihood that multiple transplants could occur.
You also mentioned a very interesting analysis on the number of people and who would need to donate. Could you just give me that again? Because it's actually quite interesting, and I don't think most people would think of this.
Well, it turns out that in Washington we have about 2,000 people waiting for kidney transplants. And that's in the region, of course. And if we say, well, there are about 4 million people in the Washington area, so if 1 out of every 2,000 people would give a kidney, theoretically the waiting list would be erased. Now people wait 5, 6, 7 years sometimes for a compatible donor, so that would be a quite remarkable thing, obviously.
Something that you wouldn't mind being put out of business for?
We would take the increased work gladly.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much.